right, guys, here to help us out, the investment pros. Paul Schatz, president of Heritage Capital. Jim Frischling, president of NewOak Capital. And what do you think, Jim?
You know, at the start of the week, we talked about the biggest drivers being the ECB. Matt actually talked about it. I said ditto. And today the ECB comes out and talks about the package. I still think they're walking a tight rope because Germany, the most fiscal player in the union, really wants no part of this thing. So,
well, they say they don't want a part of it. If you stub your toe at work and you take a year off, Greece was wonderful. Did you know anybody ever went to Greece in the last 10 years and then come back and say, those guys figured it out? I got a cousin in Greece. He doesn't work and gets paid. Well, guess what? Margaret Thatcher is right. They ran out of other people's money, Jim.
Look, Greece is, to me, is one of the horrible examples, and one of the reasons I thought the EU the currency itself or the union itself might actually not make it because Germans didn't want to pay for these wonderful vacations that I had in Greece and enjoyed myself fully. But again, they kept it together. This is not a long-term fix that what we're doing.
What about gold?
I think it's on now. We talked on the show about the importance of security and safety, what it did for New York City, what it's done for America.
What it's done for the world.
What it's done for the world. And now this is the battle that needs to be waged. Going to happen on three fronts. Government's going to get more involved, corporations are going to get more involved, and individuals are going to get more involved.
It won't matter if the government gets involved, though. They have been talking about this. You know, I wrote a book about this in 2011. They've been talking about this during his State of the Union addresses since 2010. We still have yet to see the president and the government get on board.
Watch more high-profile.
They're the ones that are getting
U.S. FBI-led perp walks.
I think part of the problem too, Paul, is that. And okay, and finally, since they brought it up in the State of the Union address, do you think the federal government will, I mean, it seems like Congress is on board, the White House is on board, will put some kind of initiative through that could be a spark for these stocks?
I do. I think you're going to see the government. I hope I'm right. And Heath is wrong on this one. I think the government is going to take a much more active role. Our economy really is at stake to a certain extent. We've seen what it can do to major companies: Home Depot, Target, J.P. Morgan. I think they're going to step it up.
All right, guys, let's leave it.
As a company, you can't ignore Facebook. So they're the jobs that Facebook hires. They're the jobs that companies hired now to interface and to use Facebook effectively. But I will say that I do think this revolution is going to require less employment. I do think the technology revolution is going to actually, I think the unemployment rate is somewhat going to be misleading because this is a new economy now.
Social media marketing.
All right, Jim, but the thing is, we do have serious issues with respect to people on a fixed budget. People renting, rents have absolutely gone through the roof, to the point where now people are trapped. If you've been renting for a few years, you can't put together a down payment because your rent goes up 5 to 15% every year. Retired people. Government's going to have to recognize this for them to be able to buy the basic stuff they need in life.
I mean, the way cost of living adjustments are made are indexed off of CPI, and there's a proposal out there to adjust the way it's calculated, which the president and the Republicans appear to be maybe getting an agreement. The fact is, relying on Social Security is not going to be a successful strategy, and the way that the COLA is calculated is not keeping up with, as you just highlighted, really the true inflation that's being felt when you go, buy.
I guess the thing is.
I went very large because I went with Google. Soft card, they're trying to take on Apple. Google Translate, they might have outfoxed Microsoft. So people thought the headwind to Google was fierce competition, and I think they're taking the competition on head-on. So I'm liking the biggest player in space.
Google, huh?
I do.
It's been acting interesting. I've been a little bit worried about it, but the last week or so, the tape actions, it looks like someone's accumulating it down here. You know this one?
I do. I think some of the pullback was the concern that their client base, their customers, a lot of oil guys, and I think people were concerned that the oil guys.
To your point, what the CEO just said an hour or so ago. Low oil prices are a boon. Most of our customers are saying it will be a boon, and that their customers are upbeat. You don't hear a lot of people say that these days.
And I agree. That's why I like the pick. I think it was oversold on back of the oil concerns. The fact is, oil's going to be a win for them. I also think more businesses are getting comfortable with renting as opposed to owning. It's a trend.
Especially in construction.
Yes.
Especially, you're not going to buy a rig. What the heck? Rent theirs. What do you think, Paul?
Not that that's a bad
tomorrow,
thing.
the markets, we had two amazing intraday reversals. What are you thinking about tomorrow?
3-day winning streak. ECB, I'm kind of in Paul's camp. I think they might disappoint, and a lot of earnings. Airlines, some financials, Verizon, lots of.
Yeah, so far in the afternoon.